The Valley is one of the fastest growing regions in the country. So many people have moved here over the last decade or so, but all that development comes at a cost.
Yeah, we're talking about burrowing owls. They are getting forced out of their homes, and one local nonprofit is actually on a mission to rehabilitate these creatures and ensure their continued survival. Irene is live this morning with this story. Good morning, Irene.
A great local organization, Wild at Heart Rescue, helps to relocate these burrowing owls, and they were recently featured by National Geographic for their efforts. We got to take a look at exactly how it's done.
These little owls love to scurry and burrow beneath the ground.
Burrowing owls like to inhabit the agricultural lands where we have irrigated crop fields. That's where all the food is. We've been building farms for 100 years, and that's one of the best places for burrowing owls to live.
But many of their homes are now being uprooted, and the Arizona population steadily declining.
Now we've been converting that cropland into new houses, freeways, almost every kind of industrial habitat. So Wild at Heart needs to go in there, get those owls out of trouble, and relocate them someplace else.
Greg Clark is the burrowing owl coordinator here at Wild at Heart. His job is to relocate these owls every time new developments and solar farms force them out of their homes.
In 2000, I decided to find out why burrowing owls were in so much trouble. And that's when I realized there was a way for me to make a difference with habitat and eventually relocation. I think that the owls would really like to stay at the burrow where they are. They really don't want to move, but there's no choice. The way to maintain biodiversity, keep the population stable, is to try to move them to habitat where they really do want to live.
Rehabilitation efforts, Clark says, take place year-round. It starts with trapping the owls and temporarily moving them to Wild at Heart in Cave Creek. This is where they rely on volunteers to help care for the owls.
The aviaries need to be cleaned. The owls need to be fed every day. One of the best things that people can do is volunteer to either put in habitat or someday become an owl feeder. The real bottleneck that we have today are people taking defrosted mice to where the owls are in tents and feeding them for 1 day a week. It's very rewarding. Everybody that's ever been an owl feeder wants to do it again.
The owls can't create their own burrows. In the wild, they take refuge in burrows abandoned by other creatures. So Wild at Heart scouts locations and then creates several new burrows for the owls.
The process starts with a backhoe to create a trench that's 3 to 4 feet deep. That's where the temperature is cool in the summer and warm in the winter. We put half of plastic 55-gallon drums in there. Those are the burrow chambers. And then we use plastic tubing to go from the burrow up to the surface. A small project, we put in like 20 burrows. A big project could be 100 burrows.
Burrowing owls are already an endangered species in Canada and threatened in Mexico. Clark says their goal is to keep the owls off the endangered species list here in Arizona. Wild at Heart's conservation work was also recently featured on National Geographic.
I never thought I would ever be in National Geographic. It was an honor to be featured like that. The main part of the article for me is that it really demonstrates how people at the grassroots can get involved to solve problems that birds are having, not just owls, but all the birds.
Every year, the nonprofit rescues hundreds of burrowing owls. And with each and every case, they hope to continue the survival of these wide-eyed little birds.
Yeah, and as Clark mentioned, one of the best ways really to help them out is you can donate to Wild at Heart Rescue or volunteer. He said, too, that a lot of people find it really rewarding going in there and feeding the owls, and they just want to come back again and again. Well, more information on our website, fox10phoenix.com, if you're interested in either donating or volunteering. But as you guys can see, those burrowing owls, I was actually surprised because we, of course, went in there with them and saw them in person. They are pretty cute. We'll send it back to you.
We were remarking on their big eyes, just kind of like looking around at everything.
Yes, and they're so active. Irene, thank you. Great story. Wow, and I love that name, Wild at Heart.
Yeah, great organization.
Great organization.